But first, we start in the AL East. It was quite a week. Everyone had a good week except for Toronto because they played another team in the AL East here, got swept pretty badly. Boston Red Sox, we'll be talking about if they're for real or not. And when you look at the standings, you wonder about who's for real, right? We got 5 teams in the AL East. They're all over 500 right now. Even the Yankees, 17-15, last place. You think, wow, when was the last time this happened? Well, you'd have to go all the way back to May 10th of 2022, last year. All the NL West teams, yep, even the Rockies, the Diamondbacks, everyone was 2 games over 500. I asked research to look into it because I thought, I bet you this doesn't happen very much, but it does. But is this different? We thought this was a monster division coming into the season, John. Is this a monster division 1 to 5?
Yeah, it's a monster division. I do think 3 teams were going to have trouble sustaining this. Obviously, the Rays, 26-6. Nobody can sustain that. They're fantastic. Give them all the credit in the world, but nobody keeps up that pace. The Orioles, give them credit, too. They've done a terrific job, but, I mean, right now they've won more than 2/3 of their games. It's been a fairly light schedule, so I don't think they keep that pace. And the Red Sox, give them credit, but 5.99 starting pitching ERA. I don't think that's sustainable with that kind of starting pitching.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, I think the jury's still out. And I think it has a product of the fact that they're not playing each other all that much. When they start playing each other over the next 2.5 weeks to a month, you're going to start to see them kind of weed themselves out. I do believe that the Tampa Bay Rays are for real. I mean, they have great pitching. They know how to win baseball games. The other clubs, Baltimore, each team has kind of done it in a different way. Baltimore with their offense, young offensive talent. They've done it with a great bullpen. But each team has a little bit, they do have some warts. And I do think that you're going to find out exactly what those warts are as they move forward and into more interdivision play.
You mentioned the real wart with the Red Sox, which is going to be rotation and then rotation depth even beyond this. But let's just give them some kudos here. Boston, they've won 6 straight. They're 19-14. They just swept Toronto, I think we all think is a very good team. That's 4-game sweep. They were 3-16 against them last year, so they've already won 1 more game. They scored 32 runs in the 4 games. They only scored 55 against them last year. And Masataka Yoshida, 14-game hitting streak. Everyone wondered about that contract, John, including you and me.
Right. Everybody thought it was over, $90 million. There are other teams in that $50 million range. Toronto, the Dodgers were in that range. I mean, the guy can hit. If you saw the highlights from Japan, you knew the guy could hit. We thought he was a below-average defender, but boy, can he hit, and that offense is really good. Verdugo has really moved it up a notch. I do believe he is that player. Obviously, Devers is one of the best hitters in the game, so their offense is really terrific. They're probably better than we thought. Again, that one question is the starting pitching, but I think they're a good team, but I don't think they're as good as they've shown lately.
Ruben, you made reference to this when you responded before about they're starting to play each other. Look at the strength of schedule here, and it's a little bit. Tampa Bay, next 23 games, their series against the Yankees, Orioles, Yankees, Mets, Brewers, Blue Jays, Dodgers, right? The Orioles coming up, we saw how tough their schedule is. They have the 3rd best record in the major leagues right now. They play the next 2 series against the teams that have the better records than them, Atlanta and Tampa Bay, and then it's Pittsburgh, Angels, Blue Jays, Yankees, and Rangers. That's 22 games. I think we are going to begin to define these teams a little more and maybe see a little more coming together of the group. What do you think?
Absolutely. I don't think there's any question. And I think all of these teams are getting used to the new rules as well. I think there's the pitching. As I said, many of these teams don't have great starting pitching. They may have a good bullpen. They may have, different pieces of their pitching staffs that are quality, but you're going to find out more and more as the season wears on. These guys are going to have a little bit of a trouble, I think. Some of the veteran guys are going to struggle with having to be able to get through the season with this pitch timer.
Yeah, I think it's going to bunch up. I think Toronto and the Yankees are probably better than their record now. Toronto got off to a good start, but that sweep now, it doesn't look that good. I think Toronto should be the best team in this division based on the talent that they have. And the Yankees, they've had so many injuries, and they're weathering the storm as best they can. But I think they're a better team than their record as well.
John, talent-wise, I think the Yankees are better. I wonder what you think of this, though. They have a lot of injuries. Since the middle of last season, I think it's since July 8th, they're 3 games under 500, including the postseason. And their general manager, Brian Cashman, when I posed that to them, said, well, it's hard to tell because of the injuries. I'm like, well, it's 120 games, and you have a lot of players who get injured a lot, right? Like once Giancarlo Stanton comes back, the clock begins when he goes on the injured list again, right? We haven't had the Anthony Rizzo back injury yet. Luis Severino mainly hasn't pitched for 5 years. Carlos Rodon mainly hadn't pitched for most of the previous time before the last 2. So, like, they're injured, but is there ever going to be this magical moment where you go, well, here's the team?
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to get that magical moment, but I think we'll have better moments with them. Severino is on his way back. Rodon, I think he just got a shot, so hopefully he'll be on his way back fairly soon. Those are 2 key pieces. Obviously, Rodon, $162 million expenditure. We haven't even seen him yet. Stanton will be back. I mean, he had obviously a bad injury, which is going to take weeks, but he will be back. Obviously, Judge is going to be back soon. It's a different team with Judge on the field. I mean, obviously, you're missing Judge. You're missing, in my mind, the best hitter in the game. So that is a huge difference.
So we have the Yankees and the Rays coming up this weekend on the network. It's part of Rivalry Week, 4 p.m. on MLB Network on Saturday. The series does start tonight. This is, we mentioned we're looking here. This is NTT Ballpark Cam. This is Tropicana Field. Yankees there tonight. You know, the Yankees have sandwich series with the Rays right now. It's Rays, Blue Jays, Rays. And they have a situation where they're going to, again, play at least this weekend without their best player, Aaron Judge. So, John, like, part of the thing is I also think they're going to get better, the Yankees, but, like, this is a tough schedule to face without Severino and Rodon, without the continuing use of Judge. Are they going to be able to weather this to get to the point where it matters when they come back?
I think it's going to be very tough for them, to be honest with you, especially right now with the stretch they're in. I mean, Tampa Bay plays as good a baseball as anybody in baseball at their home stadium, and they're in Tropicana. I mean, they're fantastic. And when you're losing, as John said, and when you're losing that many pieces from your ball club, I mean, 2/5 of your rotation and Rodon and Severino, you're losing, you know, the 2 giants in the middle of their lineup. And listen, they're getting older. They're getting older, and they're not super healthy. So it's going to take a while for them to get things going, and it's going to have to happen fast because Tampa Bay is going to run away with this thing if they don't.
You know, you mentioned older. One thing I would say about Tampa Bay, I think all but like a couple of guys, like Chase Anderson and some other pitcher they brought in recently, all 22 to 31. Like they have only prime age players. Another team that's kind of all prime is the Orioles. They've won their last 11 straight series, but 6 are against losing teams. And I did mention that stretch that's coming up that begins with the Braves and the Rays that the Orioles are going to be playing against. The Orioles surprised us last year, John. They got up over 500. They contended for a wild card spot. Are they going to do the same this year?
Well, they're going to surprise me because I didn't think they were this good. I'm not sure they're going to keep up the 21-10 pace, but they're really good. I mean, Teo has become an outstanding all-around player, not just a defender. Obviously, Rutschman's one of the best players in the game, arguably the best catcher in the American League, at least. You know, they have a terrific positional group, and they have a very, very good bullpen. So I think this is a very good team. And certainly a threat for the playoffs, at least.
Yeah, I got to give Brandon Hyde some props here because he's done a heck of a job, as far as I'm concerned, of being able to create a different culture there. These guys believe in each other. I mean, as you said, I mean, their offense is fantastic. My issue with them is their starting pitching. If they got to get John Means back at some point to kind of be atop that rotation, that's going to be a concern. Their bullpen, outstanding. Those guys are firing in the back end of that bullpen. I'm really impressed by what Bautista and Cano have done. Hopefully they can continue to do that. I don't know if it's sustainable only because of that starting pitching issue.
Yanni Cano didn't give up a base runner in his first 9 outings, haven't given up a run in his first 11, and everything changed when Adley Rutschman showed up. Switch hitting catcher, great on both sides of the ball.